Ah,
Well, I'm
well,
doing okay. I was skiing in Park City, fell and broke my pelvis.
oh,
But
oh,
I'm recovering. So,
oh
and
my God.
as the ER doc said, just consider it a bump in the road.
Dear Lord, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you're back into one piece, but a safe and quick recovery is hoped for. Let's get this thing going. Mr. Vella, are you with us?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the time is 10 o'clock. The meeting is recording, and we do have a quorum, sir.
Okay, very good. Let's do it. I hereby call to order this meeting of the Arizona Boxing and Mixed Martial Arts Commission. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, and the time is 10:01 a.m. With those commissioners in attendance, please identify themselves and state as to whether they're here in person or via telephone or Google Meet.
This is Joe Pennington. I'm participating via telephone.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am Scott Fletcher, and I am participating by telephone as well. B is our new business. B1 is pursuant to ARS Sections 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. The new license application submitted by Mr. Alfred Walker for a 2024 professional MMA combatant license. Mr. Vella, will you speak to Mr. Walker's application, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Walker is 36 years old. He has a professional record of 12-6. He did submit everything to us timely, and when asked about his training regimen, his responses were as followed. His training sessions are generally from 2 to 3 hours. He trains 5 to 6 days a week. He spars twice a week, runs 2 to 3 times a week, and does strength training 2 times a week. He says he feels positive about his upcoming bout and is excited to showcase his talent in Arizona. He says he feels prepared to compete because he lives his life around competing and training, and this is who he is. He has not experienced any injuries recently and says that he's been blessed and lucky to make it 13 years of competing without injury. With that said, I do recommend his approval.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Commissioner Pennington, any thoughts regarding Mr. Walker's application?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have reviewed the information that Executive Director Vella sent to us regarding the record and the opponents listed, and I have no further questions regarding Mr. Walker's application.
Thank you. I feel the same way, Commissioner. The chair would be open to a motion if one exists.
Mr. Chairman, I move that pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AACR 19-2-C604, that we grant a new MMA contestant license to Mr. Alfred Walker from 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. I am going to second that motion. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Congratulations, Mr. Walker. Item B2 is also pursuant to ARS Sections 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 for persons over the age of 36. The new license application submitted by Mr. Carlo Vittorio Ricci for a 2024 professional MMA combatant license. Mr. Vella, you speak to Mr. Ricci's application.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ricci is currently 35 years old, but he has a fortunate birthday to turn 36 tomorrow. So he will be over age by the time of the event. Therefore, we had to put him on the agenda. Mr. Ricci is 3-3, and you'll see I included both his combat registry profile as well as his Tapology profile in your commission packet. That's because he is 3-3 per Tapology. And the opponent that they've matched him with for this Friday has a record of 4-2. So I think it'll be a pretty competitive bout. But Mr. Ricci informed me that his training regimen consists of the following. He spends 3 to 4 hours a day between the morning and evenings training. He says that he trains 5 days a week and usually ends the week with sparring on Saturdays. He always runs, so even if he doesn't have a fight, and he spars usually once a week, sometimes more during his training camp. Now, he says he feels that this upcoming bout is a big opportunity for him, and his opponent has his strengths and weaknesses just like anybody. When asked why he feels he's prepared to compete, he said that he's always training and looking for opportunities, and he was already planning to compete this month. He says that he's not had any recent injuries and that he is healthy and ready to go. With that, sir, I do recommend his approval.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. We appreciate your carefully vetting these folks. Even the youngest overage fighter in our history, I think, Mr. Ricci. Commissioner Pennington, thoughts about Mr. Ricci's application?
Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate Executive Director Vella's explanation and comments regarding Mr. Ricci. I have also had an opportunity to review the information submitted to us, and at this point, I have no questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I, too, have reviewed everything and find myself in a position where I'd be open to a motion if one exists.
Mr. Chairman, I move pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, and AAC R19-2-C604 that we grant a new MMA combatants license to Mr. Carlo Vittorio Ricci for 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. I'm going to second that motion. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Congratulations, Mr. Ricci, and happy birthday tomorrow. Let's go to B3, which is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, A, B, and E, and 5-229, the renewal license application submitted by Mr. Bradley Moore, doing business as Del Sol Boxing Promotions, LLC, for a 2024 promoter's license. Mr. Bella, will you speak to Mr. Moore's application, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Del Sol Promotions, based on the financial investigator's report, is financially stable. Obviously, they're one of our local promoters, and it's always a pleasure to work with them. And they always do everything they can to make sure that they're in compliance and in good standing with the commission. So I do recommend their renewal.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. I'm excited to see them back too. They do things the right way, and it's going to be another great year with them, it looks like. Commissioner Pennington, thoughts regarding Del Sol's application?
Mr. Chairman, I totally agree with your comments regarding Del Sol Boxing Promotions. And at any point, I would be happy to make a motion.
The chair is open to one if you have one.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, A, B, E, and 5-229, that we grant a renewal professional promoter's license for to Mr. Bradley Moore, doing business as Del Sol Boxing Promotions, LLC, and this would be a 2024 license.
Thank you for the motion, Commissioner. I'm going to second that motion. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Congratulations, Mr. Moore. We look forward to your upcoming events. I see you've got one coming up March 16th, it looks like. So we're glad to have you aboard again.
Thank you.
Item B4 is pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, A, B, and E, and 5-229, the renewal license application submitted by Miss Amy Woodowis, doing business as OG Boxing Promotions, LLC, for a 2024 promoter's license. Mr. Bella, let's talk about OG.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So like Del Sol Boxing Promotions, the financial investigator has reported that OG is financially stable. I will remind you that last year OG did go through a change of ownership. And so Miss Amy Woodowis has done a fantastic job last year, of promoting. She did a great job to learn very quickly and to ensure that everything, all of our expectations and needs were met in a timely manner. So it was a pleasure to work with OG last year, and along with obviously the help of Fidel Hernandez. I think that this year they're going to do tremendous things as well. So I do recommend their renewal.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And again, I'm excited to see OG back in the mix too. We're blessed to have some great promoters working with us. Mr. Pennington, thoughts regarding OG?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vella, I noticed on the financial report that the performance bond will be expiring April 22nd of 24. Are there any events scheduled by OG Boxing prior to that? Or are we looking at something afterward where you would simply make sure that the bond is in place?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. That's a fantastic question. They do intend to have an event in June, and so we will ensure that obviously the bond is renewed before that.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think a motion might be in order at this point.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, A, B, and E, and 5-229, I move that we grant a renewal license application or renewal license for Amy Woodowitz, doing business as OG Boxing Promotions, LLC, for a 2024 promoter's license.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion. I'm going to second that motion. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Congratulations, Ms. Woodowitz. Item B5 is also pursuant to ARS sections 5-227, 5-228, A, B, and E, and 5-229, the renewal license application submitted by Mr. Joel Lopez, doing business as Rough Nation LLC, for a 2024 promoter's license. Mr. Vella, let's chat about Rough.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So according to the financial investigator, Rough presents a stable financial position. As our main local MMA promoter, they do the most local MMA events, and I can say that working with them is always a pleasure. Obviously, they're very thorough and diligent in their work, and they always put on a good event for Arizona fans. And their matches are always made well, and Jason Martinez does a fantastic job in the matchmaking area. With all of that said, I do recommend their renewal and look forward to the great events they're going to put on this year.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. I've been to many Rough events, and they're always exciting, and the crowd gets their money worth, definitely. I'm excited they're back. I see they're looking at a March 9th being their next, which is great news as well. Commissioner Pennington, thoughts about the Rough Nation application?
Mr. Chairman, similar comment to OG Boxing Promotions. I noticed that the performance bond expires July 7th of 24. And my assumption would be that Mr. Vella would ensure that after that date, a performance bond is in place before any events after July 7th of 24 are put on the schedule.
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
Beyond that, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Mr. Vella, will you speak to that, please?
Yes. So, yes, sir, Commissioner, we will ensure that the performance bond is renewed prior to events after July 7th.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. The chair would be open to a motion.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to ARS 5-227, 5-228, A, B, and E, and 5-229, I move that we grant a renewal license application to Mr. Joel Lopez, doing business as Rough Nation LLC, for a 2024 promoter's license.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion, which I am going to second. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner. The motion carries 2-0. Congratulations, Mr. Lopez. We look forward to, looks like March 9th, which will be fantastic. Let's jump to
Mr. Chairman, if
B6.
I might,
Yes, yes, please.
if I might, before we go to B6,
Mhm.
I would just like to comment that I really appreciate all of our local promoters, all of the Arizona-based promoters. Starting out years ago, it was interesting to work with them, and now they've become very professional. And I really appreciate all the work that they're doing.
Thank you. I feel exactly the same way, Commissioner. We are blessed to have these three we just licensed and some last month that we licensed. We have good people doing things the right way, and it's going to be a great year. We are blessed to have these people working alongside us. So I'm really excited about the future. So thank you, Commissioner. Let's go to B6. Pursuant to AAC R19-2-B602, the request for a 6-round super flyweight state championship contest submitted by Del Sol Boxing Promotions, LLC, between Eric Gutierrez and Mark D'Angelo Garcia on March 16th, 2024. Mr. Bella.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So I submitted their box rec profiles to you. Eric Gutierrez is 5-0, and Marky Garcia is 10-1. Both have done tremendous. I have not. Marky has not fought under my tenure as executive director, so I haven't seen him in person, but I have watched some footage of him, and I can say that they're both really great athletes, and I know that this is going to be a competitive bout, and I'm happy to see Del Sol taking advantage of the state championship titles. We definitely are working to get those titles on the map and make sure that more promotions are taking advantage of that opportunity. But I think again this will be a fantastic bout, and I do recommend approval of this request.
Thank you, Mr. Bella. Yeah, I'm very excited about this one. Every state championship contest that we've had has been a fantastic event. So I'm really excited to see this as a possibility. Commissioner Pennington, your thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, I agree totally. Just one question. Where do they anticipate having the event?
The event will be at the Celebrity Theater.
Okay. Thank you. Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't either. Mr. Bella, this requires a motion, and we're asked to pass this, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. The chair be open to motion, Commissioner, if you have one.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to R19-2-B602, AAC, R19-2-B602, that we grant the request for a championship contest super flyweight promoted by Del Sol Boxing to take place on March 16th.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion, which I am going to second. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. This will be an exciting fight. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. Item C is our information reports. C1 is our event reports. The following events were conditionally approved by the executive director from January 17th to February 5th, 2024, pending the approval of a new or renewal 2024 promoter's license. The first was a request from Rough Nation LLC for approval of an MMA event to be held at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Arizona on March 9th, 2024. The second is a request from Del Sol Boxing Promotions LLC for approval of a boxing event to be held at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, Arizona on March 16th, 2024. Two more great events, Mr. Vella.
Yes, sir. We are looking forward to them.
Yes, as are we. That's fantastic. Let's press on to D. Call to the commission. the executive director. Commission members may introduce a summary of current events, ask questions, and or make comments. Mr. Vella, anything you'd like to talk about?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to, and I plan to address this at the regular meeting as well, but I'd just like to say that we've had two events since the start of the year, and they were absolutely great. So obviously, we had the Golden Boy boxing event on January 27th, and they packed the Footprint Center. It was a great and exhilarating event. Every bout was competitive, and the crowd was entertained. And then this past weekend on February 2nd, we had Rise of the Prospects promoted an event at the MCAS military base in Yuma. And it was a great event that was giving back to our military men and women, and allowed all the military families to attend that were on base. And they absolutely loved it. The crowd was into it, and all of the bouts, all amateur MMA bouts, were all competitive and really, really good. So it kicked off our year to a great start, and I know that we've got some really good events coming up soon, some of which were mentioned today. And I would like to also just echo what Commissioner Pennington had said earlier about our local promoters. I'll tell you, as the executive director, it is a blessing and a great pleasure to work with all of our local promoters. I know that over the past couple of years, we were talking about it, and I know over the past couple of years, we've definitely strengthened the bond between the commission and our promoters, and we're fortunate to be able to have a transparent relationship with everybody in the local community.
Oh, agreed, Mr. Vella. Agreed. We are blessed to have these folks. And
one more note, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, sorry to interrupt you, but I forgot to mention that this Friday we have LFA MMA at the Arizona Financial Theater as well. So just a note on that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited to hear about the Rise of the Prospects. They're doing some great cards too. And the Golden Boy card was really special. It's been 14 years since Oscar De La Hoya put a event on here, and he's promised us he'll be back soon and often. So that's another great thing. That was a fun night and full house and great fights. So that one couldn't have gone much better. That was really special. Commissioner Pennington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to have on a future agenda, possibly as soon as it's possible to get on, that we review the requirements for a state championship bout, and just look at that so that we are really focusing on what it means to be an Arizona state champion. And I would just appreciate a review of that at one of the future meetings.
Well, that's a great thought. Mr. Vella, think we can chat about that at the next meeting?
Yes, sir. I can include it in our next regular meeting. We do have a substantive policy statement regarding state championships, and I wouldn't mind presenting that at the meeting and including it in the commission packet for review.
I think that'd be helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Talk
Mr.
about
Vella.
it more. I'd love to see these state championships get used more. So let's try and chat about it at the next meeting. Other than
Mr.
that,
Chairman, I have nothing else.
yes. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner.
have
Let's
nothing
go
else.
to E. I have an announcement, which is that the next regularly scheduled committee meeting will be at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. And it's subject to change based on a quorum. And it leads us to ask the possibility of adjournment. Is there a motion for such?
Mr. Chairman, I think we ought to keep this party going. I move that we adjourn.
Thank you. We have a motion. I'm going to second. We now have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. We are adjourned. Commissioner Pennington, take care of yourself. And my prayers are with you and a speedy recovery.
If it wasn't for my wife, I would be in trouble, but she's
Yeah.
great help. So
Good. It was great to hear your voice. Take